And I think I must have done something good to deserve you. I'm not superstitious, it's just a suspicion, but I feel it in my bones. Ever since the day we met, I just knew I must have done something good to deserve you. Perhaps I was a doctor saving people's lives in danger. Oh yeah, I must have done something. Perhaps I was a pirate and I donated my treasure. Oh yeah, I must have done something. Or maybe I was kind and I rewinded all my videos. Oh yeah, I must have done something. Well anyway, I hope that you don't think that I'm delirious. Oh yeah, I must have done something. 'Cause baby, when we kiss, I feel that sort of bliss I didn't really think existed. I feel it, call it what you like, I don't really mind. As long as it's something good with you, baby. I must have done something good. I must have done something. And even if you're skeptical, I must have done something. And you don't believe in miracles, you must admit that it's a miracle. I must have done something. That we have found each other. I must have done something. 'Cause while we have you, baby, I must have done something. You only get once in a lifetime. I must have done something. So please don't call me crazy. I must have done something. If I hope next life you'll still be mine. I must have done something. 'Cause when I'm in your arms, then I can do no harm. Oh baby, it was meant to be. Doesn't matter who we are, just as long we're gonna do something good with each other. See it in your eyes forever you lie. Oh baby, hope you do agree. Doesn't matter what we do, just as long we're gonna do something good.
Dear all, it is my great pleasure to welcome you here today at the first Dialogue Shapes workshop. My name is Marketa. I'm from the CPalacký University. I'm the workshop coordinator, and today I will be your guide. We're very happy that despite all the circumstances, despite COVID-19, we managed to gather here today. Unfortunately, not in person, not in Olomouc, but in this online setting to discuss, to validate the work that has been done throughout the past 6 months within the Shapes project. So thank you once again for taking your time for joining here today, and we hope you will enjoy the event with us. At the very beginning, for those who are not that familiar with the Shapes project, Shapes as such stands for Smart and Healthy Aging through people engaging in supportive systems. The aim of the project is to create a EU standardized platform that will gather different technologies, approaches, information from various stakeholders in order to support the aging population of the Europe. More about the project you will hear from the project leader, Meg McLachlan from the Maynooth University, a bit later on. This leads me to the program as such and the agenda that I would like to present to you today. So as you can see right now, we are in the part of introduction and presentation of the agenda and the workshop as such. Later on, we will have 4 speakers from the Czech Republic who will say some nice welcome words. After this presentation will be followed by the aims of the project and the outcomes so far, as I mentioned, presented by Meg from Maynooth University. And this will be followed by presentation about personas that were created mainly by Eva from our partner from the CPalacký University. And this presentation will be later on followed by our partner from Germany, Fraunhofer. Namely, you will hear in the morning and then in the afternoon Sonia and Simone from this institute, and they will talk with you about the user of the future. After some nice parts that everybody loves during workshops, and that's coffee break. So after the coffee break, we will come back here well rested to join the presentation of our partner from Germany, CCS. Namely, you will see and hear Olaf and Nadine today, and they will present the co-creation of think tank for European integrated care. This presentation will be followed and will close the morning part by our Shapes partner Laura from Finland. Today you will hear Nina and Sari from this institute, and they will talk about the ethical requirements. After this, we will just have a short introduction on how to manage the afternoon part. I will tell you where to click, what to do, and what to do in case of any problems or technical difficulties. And then we will enjoy the workshops that are going to happen in the afternoon. As you might know, you're divided into 4 groups. Each of you have a bit different schedule because we wanted all of you to enjoy these workshops, but at the same time have the opportunity to actively participate, to discuss, to be engaged. And for that reason, we created smaller groups, around 55 people, that are going later on to discuss these topics. 4 workshops are happening parallelly, so everyone will get the chance to join the workshop of each of the partners that I mentioned before. In case you have any problems or any difficulties, please contact us via email. The email for today is hotline.workshop@oshi.upol.cz. We will also write it here in the comments, so you can also see it and just copy it. As I mentioned in comments here on the YouTube streaming platform, we are more than happy if you will comment throughout the day here, because speakers that you will see on the screen in a while are all here, eager to answer your questions, because the program that you're going to see is pre-recorded, so the partners are here. They are willing to answer anything that you will ask. There's just one thing to inform you about, is that because this is a public platform, your comments could be or will be also public. So just for you to know about this, and if you want to discuss the questions privately, please feel free to keep them for the afternoon part, where we're going to be on the Zoom platform, and you can discuss it, let's say face to face with the project or the topic leader. So from my end, at this very moment, it's all. I will pop up here and there to tell you what's next. And I will also, at the end of the morning part, tell you a bit more about how the afternoon part is going to be organized. So before I give the word to another speaker, I would love to thank everybody who contributed for this event. I would love to thank our speakers, that they took their time and they created the presentations and also created the workshops for you in the afternoon. I would like to thank our partner, Age Platform Europe, namely Luisa and Ilenia, because these 2 people were a great support for us. Also, I would like to thank the team of the Palacký University. Thank you all for the sleepless night, and thank you all for your effort. And last but not least, I would like to thank our partner Slides Live, who created this beautiful platform, this beautiful program in the morning. As you might see, the morning part has subtitles, English and Czech, and also it's translated to the international sign language. So thank you all for coming. And as we can see, sit back, relax, and enjoy the time with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, commissioned by the irresistible dean of our theological faculty, I feel honored to deliver a brief welcome address. Horizon 2020 projects are undeniable tokens of quality and prestige. Palacký University in general and theological faculty in particular are proud of being members of SHAPES, formed by a network of universities across Europe. Given the merciless demographic trends and considering current epidemic, the research goals of SHAPES are useful and noble in the very best meaning of that word. Alas, we hope to organize the workshop with your physical presence. While we are still looking forward to meeting you in our beloved city of Olomouc on other occasions, we remain fully committed to the idea of organizing the online workshop under the auspices of Palacký. Notwithstanding these little discomforts and miseries of life, I hope you will enjoy lively debates producing important outcomes. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm and unflagging effort on behalf of the entire European society. You are doing a great job, and I keep my fingers crossed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a very good day, and I also wish you a very good event, even though limited to some extent by the current COVID crisis. In fact, with all the fatalities, with all the tragedies all around us, with the restrictions and the limitations, the COVID crisis does provide for certain opportunities. One of them is to acknowledge how key the digital world, digital technologies in different spheres of our society, whether it is economy, health, whatever, art tools. In fact, without these opportunities, these technologies, we wouldn't be able to hold this event today, and I would not be in a position to address you with a few opening remarks. I must say that if we realize the importance of technologies which assist us today, I think that this also highlights one of the spheres which we always have on our mind, but unfortunately, quite often they are somewhat neglected, forgotten, or downsized in terms of our policies, whether it is policies on national level, regional level, municipal level, or sometimes also on the European level. SHAPES, I think, is a fantastic opportunity. I wouldn't call it just a program. I really would see it as an opportunity how to assist those that need our care, need our attention, need our support most. And this is people with certain handicap, with, let's say, certain obstacles and barriers in their life that they need to address, they need to overcome. I'm very glad that for the first time the SHAPES conference is taking place in the Czech Republic, and I'm especially pleased that the seed, if I may say so, of this event, the venue of this event is Olomouc, with an outstanding university, and also with numerous people which are highly dedicated to the, let's say, challenges in the digital world. I myself have been for a while, for several years, a member of the board of Palacký University. Now to the point. As I've said just a few seconds ago, I would definitely wish if we would be much more focused, if we would be much more determined, if we would be much more dynamic, efficient, and really targeting the real needs of the people that will be the core of your debate today. And of course, linking it with the opportunities that the digital technologies offer to us. Assistance is the key word. I mean, we are assisted on a daily basis in our business life, in our private lives, all around. In fact, I would say still to an extent which is insufficient. I would like to see the digital world really gaining more dynamics all around us. We keep talking about smart things, digital things, economy, health, and so on. But I just have a feeling that not necessarily we are always really focusing on the right issues, giving it the efforts that these need, supporting them by policies which are well-shaped, which are horizontal, which are penetrating all areas of our societal life, and of course, the financial support, which is also needed. Obviously, we will be waking up, if I may say so, to somewhat a different world after COVID. And I think that, as I've said, it is going to be a world which will put enormous challenges ahead of us. It also, apart from an opportunity, is a certain kind of danger that we will focus on issues which were highlighted during these weeks or months, and which somehow might overlap or overshadow the issues which have been with us, are with us, and will be with us in a world which is not just changing in the respects that I have mentioned, but also in demographic sense. And I think that we will not be able to cope also with the budgetary financial constraints which the economic crisis will bring with these challenges if we are not in a position to be highly innovative, and if we are not in a position to basically penetrate the sphere and the life of our elderly, handicapped people with assistive technologies in a way which is user-friendly, which is understandable, and which really facilitates. And I think that Shapes is a unique opportunity to address these challenges. I would love to have the brain to be very much in depth in these issues. I like the digital world. I myself am a vice chair of a board of Digital Economic Association in the Czech Republic, but unfortunately I don't have the technical brain. I'm far from being innovative. But I'm highly open to these opportunities, to these challenges, and also to the input from people like you. And I think that with these challenges on the back of our mind, this is something that we jointly have to focus on. So as someone that is somewhat outside your sphere, without the brain that I've mentioned, but with a lot of energy and still being involved in policymaking, I will definitely keep determined and with the dynamics to create an ecosystem. And this is the key word, the ecosystem in which, let's say, your ideas can be put into practice as soon as possible. So once again, I wish you a great event. And I hope that next time we will be all in a position to meet in person and give it just yet another push. Have a good event. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Drahí priatelia, v dnešnej zvláštnej dobe, zvláštnym spôsobom, keď sa svet mení, sme tu s projektom Shapes, ktorý zachycuje zmenu nášho životného štýlu. Teraz, keď sme v izolácii, vidíme, ako sú dôležité technológie a ako nám môžu pomáhať. Teraz vieme tiež doceniť aj geniálnu myšlienku McLachlana zamerať sa na moderné technológie. Veľká vďaka Makovi za dôveru, ktorú nám prejavil, vďaka aj pánu rektorovi za umožnenie tejto konferencie na našej univerzite, vďaka týmu, ktorú konferenciu pripravil, Markete Pešoutovej, Radkovi Trnkovi, Eve Dubovskej a hlavne Zdenkovi Majerovi, manažerovi projektu. Dovolím si tvrdiť, že sme zvládli asi najväčšiu online konferenciu v histórii programov Európskej únie. V mene Cyrilometodickej teologickej fakulty Univerzity Palackého v Olomouci vás všetkých srdečne zdravím. Je to pre našu univerzitu česť.
Krásný dobrý den. Když jsem přemýšlel o tom, co bych řekl na začátek našeho společného workshopu, napadaly mě samá klišé. Pak jsem si položil otázku, proč mi na tom projektu tolik záleží? Odpověď se vynořila velmi lehce. Je to kvůli lidem. V projektu je mnoho lidí, které jsem mohl poznat i z jiné než pracovní stránky, a jsou to prima lidi. V krásném Irsku jsem potkal Meka, Melanie, Hilary, Davida i Jamieho a mám je prostě rád. Možná víc než Guinness. To je podle mého názoru dobrý základ, ze kterého se v průběhu projektu utváří komunita lidí, odhodlaných se poprat se všemi problémy a okolnostmi, které projekt přináší, a některé jsou opravdu nečekané a plní celý veřejný prostor. Je ještě jedna věc, která je pro mě na Shapeu velmi důležitá. Seděli jsme s Petrem na pivě a já si stěžoval, jak v některých moderních technologiích tápu, a tak poprosím našeho nejmladšího syna o pomoc. Filip začaruje a funguje to. Ovšem vše udělá tak rychle, že stejně nevím, co kde nastavil a jak. Díky Shapesu mám naději. Mohu být u toho, když se technologická řešení vyvíjí, a tudíž mít šanci jim porozumět. A to snad i v budoucnosti, kdy je budu sám potřebovat. A protože už jsem šťastný dědeček, tak to nebude možná dlouho trvat. Na závěr nemohu opominout velké poděkování celému týmu z Ouši, který se s vervou zapojil do projektových úkolů. Především Evě Dubovské, Radkovi Trnkovi, Janě Kólové a Markétě Pešoutové, a také lidem z H, Luise a Ilénii, za přípravu tohoto online workshopu. To vše se děje také díky Peterovi Tavelovi, děkanovi naší alma mater, Cyrilometodějské teologické fakulty. Přátelé, tak snad někdy příště offline u nás na univerzitě v Olomouci. Slonče.
Thank you for the beautiful welcome words. And right now we can start the workshop as such. And the first speaker of the day will be Mac from the Maynooth University, who will tell us more about the progress of Shapes project and its outcomes and also aims.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mac McLaughlin, and I'm presenting here on behalf of the coordination team, which is myself, Michael Cook, and Niamh Redmond, all from Maynooth University. It's a real pleasure to be part of this webinar, and I'd like to congratulate our colleagues at CPalacký University in Olomouc in the Czech Republic for being able to pull this together under really quite challenging circumstances that we now live in. And I very much look forward to hearing others on this webinar. In particular, we have colleagues from Fraunhofer, from CCS, both of these in Germany, and of course from Laurea in Finland, who's also put a lot of work into preparing for this workshop. And then perhaps most importantly, in terms of others from outside the consortium who are joining us, we really look forward to hearing from all of you as well. And thank you for joining us. Okay, so I've said a brief welcome and also a brief thanks. And I'm going to talk about the scope of the Shapes project, its aims, give it a little bit of an overview, and then talk about the progress that we've made so far. In terms of partners, we have 36 partners across really much of Europe, from both Northern and Western and Southern Europe, from a whole range of different sorts of contexts and a whole range of backgrounds. So we have a lot of small and medium enterprises, a good number of universities and civil society, non-governmental organizations. We also have public bodies, research organizations, and larger scale industry. So really a whole range of the stakeholders that are involved in smart and healthy aging. Understanding the life world of older people is the key to the SHAPES project. So this notion of smart and healthy aging, in terms of people being empowered through engaging in promoting systems, that's what SHAPES stands for. That is really bedded in the importance of understanding what is it like to live as an older person within Europe. And of course, it's not like any one thing, because the countries, the cultures, the infrastructures, the challenges that older people in Europe face differs hugely. And you'll see from the range of countries that we're in, we have a huge range of different contexts. So it's key for us to understand that life world and to hold up the differences in people's experiences as being a key to how they can age well. So understanding the context and making sure that within their context that we can have age-friendly physical and social spaces and pathways, and that they are truly empowered to make decisions that relate to achieving their own goals and enhancing their own quality of life. In terms of an overview, we want to look at how current and future digital solutions and innovations support planning for extended lifespans while maintaining independent, healthy, and active lifestyles. So it's not digital solutions for their own sake. It's the active and healthy lifestyles and the independence of living are all key parts of extending lifespan. That's what it's for, and the technology is a means, not the only means, but one means of helping us achieve that. So part of that mission, if you like, is to develop an integrated care platform, which means that we can bring together lots of different digital solutions. And we will be trying out many different types of digital solutions, from apps that you might use on your phone, to sensors in people's homes, to robotics, to different forms of artificial intelligence, identifying key types of information that help people make decisions, and so on. So the platform seeks to bring those all together to interact, if you like, in the same digital space. In other words, to be able to talk to each other and have a sensible conversation. And that ecosystem that I was mentioning before is therefore central, in that different places in Europe have different sorts of infrastructure. I'm talking to you now from Westmeath in the rural countryside of Ireland. We have pretty awful internet connectivity here. So there's various things on my computer that I'm speaking to you on here, various applications that I can't run simply because I don't have the bandwidth that would allow me to. This is just one example of how the resources that we have in different parts of Europe vary greatly. And the content of what might be appropriate in rural Ireland might be very different from what might be appropriate in Olomouc or in Berlin or anywhere in Europe. Now, in the same way, the European marketplace is a very broad area, the largest marketplace in the world. And it's incredibly important that we can stimulate innovation and productivity within the different small and medium enterprises and large-scale industry within Europe. However, it's also equally important that when we do that, we're doing it in a socially responsible way. And so another way in which Shapes interfaces with the marketplace is through what people call market shaping. And market shaping is ensuring that the innovation and good industrial activity doesn't just go towards areas that there's high profit returns on, but also engages with areas where perhaps traditionally there have been lower returns. So we can seek to bundle high return activities with perhaps lower return activities, with the basic aim to make sure that nobody is left behind in terms of achieving the benefits of digital and assistive technologies. To ensure that that becomes a reality, we're going to develop not just guidelines, but a roadmap to actually make sure that it happens, and an action plan for implementing that roadmap. So again, as an overview, you can see here that we're looking at the Shapes platform, bringing together at the top yellow, I have a diagram which is showing how the home feeds into the Shapes platform. I also have a diagram that looks at how behavior at the individual community and healthcare level can feed into the Shapes platform. And I have another arrow coming in from below, looking at how market-based activities we've just been discussing can feed into the Shapes platform. And then finally, a fourth arrow that looks at the really important issues around governance. How are the systems, policies, and laws going to interact to provide appropriate standards, and to do so in an ethical framework that protects individuals' confidentiality, their security online, and make sure that people can trust this platform to do right by them and to provide information that's going to help, and not to leak information that would be a worry to them. So we take that incredibly seriously. If we don't have a platform that people trust, then people simply won't use it. So I think the ethical and standards element are a bedrock of what we seek to do. So the next slide shows a couple of diagrams, one in particular relating to what people refer to as wearables. So in this case, there's a woman who's wearing sensors. These sensors could look at vital signs. So for instance, it may be cardiovascular function, respiratory rate, temperature. It's not necessarily the case that people would be wearing these all the time, but if they're having a period of feeling unwell, then it can be very useful to have these measurements, allowing people to stay at home, engage in their community, engage in their usual activities, interacting with family and neighbors, rather than going into hospital to have these sorts of assessments taken and moving them out of their community context. And on the right-hand side of my slide here, I have it's really illustrating a range of different information for caregivers, care service providers, health providers, policymakers, researchers, and analysts, bringing all of this information together into one platform, and most importantly, making it usable, not just for healthcare workers, but very importantly, for the older person themselves. So making it accessible, usable, understandable, and relevant to their own goals in their own life. So with these big ambitions, what we have decided to do is to have certain pilot themes. So these are areas of particular focused interest that we want to we want to develop in order to see how we can bring together all these different sorts of technologies and make sure that they add value to this sort of ecology that people live in and their broader social and resource context. So these pilot themes are to do with smart living environments in the home. They're also to do with community-based services and how they interact with the home, how medicines can be optimized, again, from the home setting with strong professional support from outside the home. They look at psychosocial and cognitive stimulation whilst people are living at home. Caring for older individuals with particular types of disorders will also be an interest of the project, and one of these is looking at neurodegenerative diseases. And then across a whole range of diseases or disorders, of course, the importance of physical rehabilitation, again, in the home environment. And it's not all in the home, because we're very aware that many older people want to travel across European borders. And so it's really important that when you travel, you can bring with you that whole knowledge base that exists around your interests and desires, but also around some of your medical and health needs. So it's not like when you travel, you leave those all behind somewhere. They're all available. For instance, if you need to go and see a GP when you're on holiday in a different country, that GP general practitioner can also have access to the sort of information that this platform will provide. Okay, so progress to date for the project. To be honest, I think given the difficulties of the situation that we're living in, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment, I think we have been very good at keeping up to pace with the program deliverables. And I know on behalf of the coordinating team, I'd just like to say how grateful we are to everybody, because we know it's not easy. Many people are working at home. Very sadly, some of us may have lost loved ones, and others of us I know have been personally affected by contracting the COVID-19 virus. So these are all very demanding situations, and we're really grateful that people, despite this, have done their best to keep the tempo of the project, to keep it moving along at a good pace. The project started in November. We're now in May, so we're up to month 7. And as you can see from the table here, we've had deliverables from work packages 1, 6, 8, 10, and 11. So many of these are fully complete. Some of them are uploaded and still awaiting some small additions. That is perfectly okay. We want to maintain the momentum, but we also want to be realistic and flexible around what people can possibly do. But just to say again, thank you to those in the consortium for keeping the tempo going. So something about SHAPES and the COVID-19 situation. Of course, this is a huge human tragedy. And it's also a huge public health systems challenge right now as we speak. It is happening, of course. And as I've mentioned, it's a challenge for progressing our work. But it's also an opportunity to support people and systems in real time, and to learn from the sort of experiences that we're having now from a broad range of stakeholders. And that's why it's really important, and we're so grateful that it's not just members of our consortium who will be attending and are attending this webinar, but the wider public and different interest groups as well. And we really do want to hear from you. We want to hear, in particularly, things that we're doing that maybe aren't right, things that we could do them better, or new ways of doing things that we may not have considered. So I think COVID, it doesn't just offer an opportunity for the future, it really presents us with an obligation. COVID will, of course, in time pass. There may be other viral epidemics, but there will certainly be other public health challenges. And so it's going to be really important that smart and healthy aging is prepared to respond to these challenges through systems like the sort of platform that Shapes is going to provide. So I think there's a real opportunity to think into the future, and I know that's going to be part of some of the work this afternoon in thinking more broadly about the work of Shapes, but also taking into account some of the challenges around COVID-19. So let me just conclude by thanking you all very much for your time listening. And from the coordinating group for Shapes at Maynooth University, again, a big thank you to the organisers, and we very much look forward to listening to others and to participating in this webinar. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you a lot for your presentation. And the next speaker is from the CPalacký University. She is the creator of personas. It's Eva. And right now, the stage is yours.
Hello, welcome everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the presentation on personas and user cases, which is part of task 2.5 of Shapes project. My name is Eva Dubovska and I am from CPalacký University, Olomouc, Czech Republic. First, let me talk shortly about the impact of the COVID-19 situation on this part of the project. Actually, there wasn't much, this part wasn't very affected because all work was done before the outbreak. And we also, with our partners, we communicated online even before the pandemic started. But I want to stress out the importance of developing new technologies that will reduce stresses on healthcare system and at the same time increase well-being of and independence of older adults. This importance is even higher considering the current epidemic. So I think we are doing a very important job on the Shapes project. Now let me talk about personas. What is a persona? It's a detailed description of a fictional person. We use it to communicate key motivations, characteristics, needs, interests of this user group. Personas enable designers to better focus on primary users. They are used in so-called user-centered design, and they are basic prototypes of possible users. Personas will also form the basis for creation of use cases, which can be conceptualized as user stories with plots describing the actions and decision of a user in particular context. What was our methodology to create personas? It was a combination of literature study and qualitative methods while making use of the rich experience that our teams, both of university in Olomouc and Maynooth University, had with the population of older adults. We used existing preliminary personas, which were prepared before the Shapes project started. We also used DeepX interviews, which was an older project in UP, consisted of 50 in-depth interviews with older adults. We also done we realized some expert interviews with medical personnel, with doctors, nurses, and social workers. And we also based our decisions on extensive literature review. As you can see on that picture, preparation of personas went through several stages. There was always some draft, then there was discussion within the team of experts from Olomouc and Maynooth University. We did some supplementary literature review, another draft of personas, another discussion both with experts and with pilot leaders, which was very important as well. And then we created the final personas as you can see them today. So how does the persona look? Maybe the introduction was just very short to personas. So now you can see how it looks. You can imagine it's usually one page, which aims to say the story of a fictitious person. We use the life motto. We give a general description of the life story. Some general needs, daily living. We describe own resources, assets, health concerns, and so on. And we also use hopes and dreams, quotes, and unmet needs. So you can see these. I hope you can download them on the page of the workshop, and we will work with them also in the afternoon personas workshop. So feel invited. So let's look very shortly, because we don't have much time right now, at these 8 personas that we created so far. I'm saying so far because this work can be later, it can be developed much more during the development of the project. So the first persona, it's aimed at younger old. It's representing the younger old adults. Usually it's 65 to 75 years of age. They generally have a good health, active approach to life. Usually they have rich hobbies. They often like to travel. They have a satisfying social life, often work as volunteers. The physical activity is one of the main determinants of keeping satisfactory health in older age. And this is facilitated by the subjective enjoyment of particular exercises. Sometimes it's also wish to maintain a good appearance, and also by social relationships that are associated with a particular activity. Substantial factor that affects the level of physical activity in this group of older adults is the quality of natural environment. So some environments are very important, like accessible parks or forests. They can support higher levels of physical activity. Second persona, it's aimed at older adults with mild but multiple chronic conditions. It's older adults with multimorbid chronic conditions, typically diabetes, hypertension, chronic respiratory disease, oncological condition in remission, for example. One of the main problematic areas in this group of older adults is the need to undergo behavioral change, which is often stressed out to them by medical personnel. They are often told to you have to stop smoking, you have to change your diet, you have to reduce alcohol intake, and so on. This is in contrast with the wish to keep the lifestyle as usual. So we are talking about the management of behavioral change within this persona, which is one of the most important factors here. And for behavioral change, it's important internal motivation. Anyone who will wish to technologically support this type of people should have to take into account the importance of internal motivation. Common challenge here is also the navigation with the complexity of healthcare system. As the care tends to be fractured, which may cause problems with prescribing errors. For example, if you have multiple diagnoses, it may happen that doctors don't know what was prescribed by another specialist and so on. This may be also complicated by lower health literacy. So these are the phenomena that we present in the second persona. Third persona, it represents older adults with chronic musculoskeletal disorders. It's usually mobility difficulties, typically arthrosis, vertebrogenic syndrome, back pain, for example. These are some of the most common problems of older adults. Of course, these conditions negatively affect ability to move around the home as well as outside, maintain independence, keep their hobbies. Often it may lead to increased social isolation. In order to preserve the quality of life of this population, it's important to maintain their functional capacity for as long as possible. Important element associated with this condition is the risk of falls, and even more critical, the fear of falls. This has been associated with many negative consequences, such as limited movement, decreased muscle strength, higher risk of disability, and threat of social isolation. Mobility problems are more likely to be experienced while doing the basic daily activities like dressing, combing one's hair, taking a shower, or going to toilet, or also some more instrumental tasks such as preparing meals, shopping, or lifting things. Moreover, they may have to cope, the older adults in this group may have to cope with many inconveniences and difficulties at home, such as stairs, narrow doorways, missing railings, or other supports. Frequent strategy to overcome these threats is, for example, leaving several walking sticks in strategic places around the house, or so-called furniture cruising or furniture surfing. It's like placing the furniture strategically so it can be grabbed for keeping balance. So it's kind of a specific group of house adaptations that are specific for this group. Another notable characteristic is that the in-house and also the out-house movement requires extended planning. So they are plotting the journeys, even the short journeys. Very essential factor for coping in this group of older adults is resilience. So as a capacity to bounce back, for example, following the fall or some traumatic medical experience. Okay, so persona number 4, it's older adults with neurodegenerative disorders. It's of course it's dementia and well-known Alzheimer's disease that we dedicated this persona to, Alzheimer's. and specifically here in early to middle stage, while still staying in home care, which is also associated with the issue of informal caregiving. Due to the associated cognitive decline, older adults in this population may often experience embarrassing situations, which may result in feelings of shame and a sense of withdrawal. As a result of the fear of stigmatization, these older adults may limit their social activity and also experience loneliness and isolation. Also, important factor is that the condition is progressive, and also the care costs are progressive. So prolongation of the time while still in home care may have big consequences for the individual as well as for society. Therefore, it's crucial to understand this and support informal caregiving, which is the most common type of caregiving for patients suffering from this condition. Caregivers of people with dementia have many unfulfilled needs, according to many studies. For example, access to information, respite care, formal care support, informal care support, or peer support groups. Also managing their own emotions, such as aggression or agitation, and also managing their own mental health and managing their own lives. Let's move to the persona number 5. It's lonely and socially isolated older adults. The purpose of this persona is to highlight the problem of loneliness, which is a phenomenon that has serious implications for the health and well-being of older adults. Loneliness can be described as subjectively felt dissatisfaction with the amount and the quality of social relations. More specifically, the social loneliness that is presented in this persona is a state of dissatisfaction with the extent of a social group of contacts or engaging interactions, absence of a group of friends or colleagues with similar interests. Social loneliness is connected to a number of factors. It's often can be evoked by social dislocation when older adults are moved away from their former community. So they lose some of the ties with their friends and colleagues. According to many studies, important determinant of social loneliness is a subjective evaluation of neighborhood quality and also perceived neighborhood safety. So, persona number 6, it's we dedicated this persona to older adults with alcohol or drug dependency and several chronic conditions, non-complying to medical recommendations. It's a group of people who are non-complying with doctors' recommendations, and they even don't visit their GPs, and they have many acute health crises that are solved by calling emergency or visiting emergency room. So this means a substantial burden for the healthcare system, and not only costs, financial costs, but also they create a frustration and feelings of helplessness in medical workers. So the idea behind highlighting this persona is to support finding some solution, some most likely harm reduction based solution. Let's look at persona number 7. It's old and frail. It's about older adults who are over 85 years. And we highlight the frailty syndrome here, which is a natural consequence of age-related decline. frailty, older adults, this frailty syndrome manifests itself as sudden worsening of the overall condition, especially by frequent falls, exhaustion, unexplained weight loss, acute confusion, even deliriums that might be triggered by minor stressors. It has a dynamic nature. Acute episodes of frailty may be alternated by periods of normal functioning. Connected to this persona, or important for this persona, is also a question of staying in their own home versus moving to the institutional living. Sometimes this decision to move is very difficult and is postponed until some major incident or health crisis happens. So we also talk about this decision. Persona number 8 is dedicated to deaf-blind older adults. So it's older adults with a dual sensory impairment. Deaf-blind people are both very varied in their communication requirements due to very individually differences in the extent and type and history of their sensory impairments. There's a high dependence on communication help, which is realized through guide interpreters. So there's a need to develop more assistive devices to support communication in this group. So I hope I very quickly introduce the personas. They will be further developed within the project, and please visit our workshop in the afternoon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you for the presentation of personas. We're very much looking forward to the workshop. And right now, I would like to give a word to our partner Fraunhofer, to Diana and Simona, who will show you briefly a bit more about foresight, about the technologies of the future and their users, and they will also invite you for their workshop. So, Simona and Diana, stage is yours.
Hello, my name is Diana.
Hello, I'm Simona.
We're presenting what we are doing during the last months within the foresight exercises in the SHAPES project, and what we are planning to do within the first dialogue workshop this afternoon. In the beginning, we will provide some information on the foresight in SHAPES, and we will talk about future influencing factors and technologies and how we want to provide this information later on during the project. We will show some relevant foresight and research studies which will have an influence on the foresight workshop in the afternoon, where you can provide us with your input.
Foresight in SHAPES. There are many questions. What is foresight? Why should it be conducted? How is it done? How far into the future do we look? How can you, as the workshop participants, support the process? So we will answer the questions one by one. What is foresight and why should it be conducted? Foresight comprises the exploration of possible futures using specific scientific methodological approaches, for example, scenarios or roadmaps. Foresight can be used to identify emerging technologies, future impacts, as well as new societally demands and challenges. Foresight can also anticipate future developments, disruptive events, risks, and opportunities. Foresight can also evaluate the impact of upcoming decisions in combination with other developments. And last, foresight can help to evaluate priorities and potential new directions in decision-making. So how is foresight done, and how far into the future do we look? Shapes foresight starts by gathering information about future technologies and anticipating influencing factors. This information is gathered by evaluation of current research and foresight studies. This research for early signs of important changes in society, science, and technology is also called horizon scanning. And through the exchange with participants in foresight exercises, for example, like this workshop. An important factor for such foresight exercises is also how far into the future we look. For the SHAPES project, we decided to aim for the year 2030. How can you, as the workshop participants, support the process? You can join the discussions during the workshop in order to gain some more insight in the foresight we are doing in the context of SHAPES. Get some inspiration for your own research in the area of future smart and healthy aging. You can support us in gathering valuable insights in the entire breadth of SHAPES related foresight subjects. You can provide us with valuable inputs for foresight within the SHAPES project, and hence support future smart and healthy aging in Europe.
So now we are talking about the future influencing factors and technologies. So how can these influencing factors and technologies for SHAPES be identified? How can they be gathered? And how can they be used in the course of the SHAPES project? So we can gather information and identify information by different information sources. This may include foresight and current research studies. These are mostly, but not only, related to smart and healthy aging. We can have exchanges with scientists and researchers in the fields and discussions with all affected persons, like elderly or caregivers. In order to make sure that all these gathered information are consumable and useful for the project, we developed 2 templates and examples shown in the following slides. These templates are called technology cards and influencing factor cards, and they should provide starting points for interested actors for more in-depth analysis into specific topics. This is a template for a technology or innovation card. We have one box for a description. So what is the technology or innovation and what is it for? The second box, what needs does the technology or innovation satisfy? And who are the relevant actors in the EU? If there aren't any important actors in the EU, where and who are they? They could be basically worldwide, or are there possible collaborations? Another question would be who uses the technology or innovation? And last but not least, you can do a really short SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Additionally, we put a small box for the technology readiness level to give you an idea if the technology is in an early invention stage or already on the market. There are also a box for the pilot themes in order to give you an idea for which pilot themes this technology or innovation is most important. This could look, for example, like this card. We took the exoskeletons as an example. So they are lightweight robotic scaffolds that can be worn by over the user's arms, legs, or torso, and augment elderly's movements. So what needs does such a technology or innovation satisfy? It improves the strength, the speed, it extends the times for manual labor, it prevents falls, or it can be used for rehabilitation. Who are the relevant actors in the EU? For example, the Olomouc University, St. Anna School of Advanced Studies, or the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Who uses the technology or innovation? These could be aging people and workers, but also caregivers for the elderly. So the really short SWOT analysis shows that it's easy to apply, but its weakness is that it depends on the model. Sometimes they're really bulky and slow. The opportunities it gives is, for example, extending the labor years, supporting freedom of movements, and extending autonomy. However, depending on the model, it can have quite high costs. The technology readiness level is between 6 and 9 because there are also already some exoskeletons on the market. In the pilot teams, we can use it mostly for 2 and 6. When you take a look at the templates for the influencing factors, we have also a description box and the facts and figures box. So, for example, how many people are affected by such a topic, what are the necessary expenses concerning the topic, and so on. Then there's a box for giving some examples of the research. Does the influence already have an impact on whom or on what? And which are possible future influences, so in which ways the future directions can go. As example, we took here the drug shortage, which we think is quite an actual topic. We have some facts and figures here, and also we could identify some examples within the EU. And we gave 2 future influences for this drug shortage topic. So, how will the information be used in the course of the project? Such information cards can and should be used at various points during the project. Input for other work packages, for example, the technical work packages, they can also be used as inspiration for work within the pilot themes and highlight solutions for shapes personas, which were explained in the previous talk. Cards can also be used as information source for people which are not directly involved in shapes, but are interested in future technologies concerning smart and healthy aging. And I'm sure there are several more topics where they can be used.
So now we talk about some relevant foresight and research studies which we had a closer look to. So which foresight studies should be analyzed and how? We use foresight and research studies as a starting point and extract open needs for all concerned parties. Then we gather ideas of technologies or hint for technologies which can help to satisfy such needs. Starting from current needs, for example, it is possible to investigate new technological developments which are not yet developed or which are used in other areas, such as the aerospace industry. However, with some more development, such technologies could also be used to satisfy needs, for example, in the care for the elderly. During the awareness campaign, we provided you already with some first studies, which are published by research institutes, governmental bodies, industry, and so on. Such foresight studies can provide hints for relevant trends and innovations, as well as of changing environments for current and future shapes solutions. We used the 7 pilot themes and personas and shapes as a guideline for the analysis. The 7 pilot teams together provide a clear understanding of the reality of European health and care systems and enable the validation of innovations capable of effectively supporting healthy and independent living of older individuals within and outside their home. So now we come to examples for the relevant studies concerning all the 7 pilot teams. The first theme was Smart Living Environment for Healthy Aging at Home. One possible influencing factor might be ambient assisted living. Ambient assisted living refers to a fusion of ambient intelligence and assisted living that contains characteristics of the living space and social service area. A possible technology could be robot-assisted medication sorting. Medication management is a significant challenge for older adults. Robot assisting can help to manage this medication sorting task. So the second theme is improving in-home and community-based care. There could, for example, be an event-driven system. An event-driven system can be used for real-time observation of the environment and the residents' activities. As an influencing factor, there could be participation in physical activity by user-centered program design. A multifactorial approach of a user-centered program design is able to address a range of predisposing, reinforcing, and enabling factors for physical activities. This is likely to be necessary to enhance engagement in organized physical activity by socially disadvantaged and underrepresented older people. The third pilot theme is medicine control and optimization. There could be an innovation like telemedicine, telemonitoring, teleconsultation, and prescription. Telemedicine practices can be separated into teleconsultations and telemonitoring. Such practices can be used to manage chronic disease patients more effectively and at lower cost. An influencing factor could be reduced adverse drug event-related outcomes. Which possibilities are there to reduce the incidence of adverse drug event-related outcomes in older patients in primary care settings? So the fourth pilot theme is psychosocial and cognitive stimulation promoting well-being. One possible technology could be fighting social isolation with new media concept. Fighting social isolation could be achieved, for example, by television-based multimodal software. Such technology could be enhanced with TV shows sharing functionalities, features for sharing printed photos, and multiple interaction modularities, remote control, voice, and gesture, especially for older adults. One possible influencing factor might be the e-learning for older adults. Research supports the benefits of e-learning environments in facilitating learning processes and in encouraging older adults to engage in learning activities. So the fifth theme is caring for older individuals with neurodegenerative diseases. One influencing factor could be treatments and care costs in the EU. A study evaluated, by means of computer simulations, developments in the cost and treatments when caring for people suffering from Alzheimer's disease in the EU by 2080. One possible influencing factor could also be caregiver needs. Understanding the needs of caregivers is vital to developing and delivering the kinds of services and resources that will elevate, burden, and improve quality of life. The sixth pilot theme is physical rehabilitation at home. There could be, as a technology, wearable sensors and systems. The integration of wearable and ambient sensors could be used in the context of achieving home monitoring of older adults and people with chronic conditions. One influencing factor could be estimating the rehabilitation need. Many of the data which estimate the rehabilitation need only measure impairments. However, this does not fully capture actual rehabilitation need, as rehabilitation as such aims to improve the performance of the people. And the last pilot theme was cross-border health data exchange, supporting mobility and accessibility for older individuals. There could be an influencing factor like e-health interoperability. The ambition of the EU project Antelope was to drive e-health interoperability in Europe and beyond. Key national and international organizations were working together to promote and drive adoption of testing guidelines as well as testing tools on a European and national level. One possible technology could be electronic patient portal apps. With electronic patient portal apps, which for example enhance patient communication, chronically ill patients have a more positive view of patient portals.
So now we are back at the Shapes Foresight workshop. Now it's your turn, basically. Access our workshop via the Zoom link and chat with us. This is one possibility. You can write us your ideas and we collect them during the workshops. Or you just discuss it with us. We also gather your ideas and we will benefit from your different points of view. You can support our efforts with your unique insights and valuable inputs in the entire breadth of Shapes-related foresight subjects. So we thank you for your attention and we hope to see you in the afternoon session.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you a lot, Diana and Simona. Thank you also for the lovely invitation for everyone to share during the afternoon workshops. We're very much looking forward to that. And right now, we want to give you some time to rest and to recharge your batteries. So for now, we will take a 15-minute coffee break. So feel free to do coffee or have a snack before we go on in our program. So enjoy yourselves. So, welcome everyone. We hope that you enjoy the coffee break, and we will continue with the program. We still have two partners left to present their topics and invite you for the afternoon part. So, the first one will be Olaf from the partner CCS, and he will tell you a bit more about the think tank Europe, of the co-creation of it, and also about the ecosystem, its sustainability, and also the pilot side. So, Olaf, feel free to start.
Hi, this is Olaf Müller from Chaos Consilium. I cordially welcome you to our part of the Shapes virtual workshop today on 12 May 2020. And I have the pleasure to introduce you to some of our Chaos Consilium parts, our role in the project, and what we want to do on the afternoon part of our today's workshop. First of all, basically, this is us. Chaos Consilium Sachsen is located in Saxony, which is one of 16 federal states in Germany. We are situated in the southeast part of Germany, and basically we're part of one big, great European family, as you can see. Even if we can't meet in person today because of the corona situation, we still meet virtually, which I'm very happy to do so. So just briefly about Saxony and the health region of Saxony. Saxony is a IBON-AHA reference site. I'm pretty sure most of you know what this is about. The innovation partnership and the reference sites is a nowadays rather established initiative. Saxony has been a reference site since 2013. We are one of the oldest reference sites from the first batch. We successfully managed to collect 2 stars in 13 and 3 stars in both 16 and 19. And Saxony is pretty active in the reference site, collaborative network, and different action groups. I think this is one of the most important aspects in the European collaboration, being part of this network, because this is the place where most of the knowledge transfer, most of the exchange of innovations, exchange of ideas, and the founding of so many wonderful projects begin. Within the Saxon side, we successfully included more than 60 organizations from all quadruple helixes. We have a very strong academic side in Saxony, but also healthcare providers and industry, small and medium enterprises, and civil society organizations are present. And the reference site is managed by Chaos Consilium Saxony, which I am managing director of, and the Saxon State Ministry of Social Affairs. What basically drives us and what drives our strategic work and also our operative work is that we are a rather old federal state. We have a high average age. It's one of the oldest states in Germany regarding age. So we need tailored solutions to communicate with our target group. Our target group, older people, are, as you all know, not homogeneous regarding illiteracy, regarding digital devices, regarding services. So we need tailored solutions to properly communicate with them and to win them or to persuade them to collaborate with us in different projects and pilots and whatever. What we also need is to digitally upgrade our established healthcare services. We monitor a deteriorating structural density and structural quality, both in health and care, in our rural areas. Saxony consists of 2 national borders, both to the Czech Republic and to Poland, and from the center of Saxony towards the south and the east, it is a very rural area. So the density of hospitals decreases. We have outpatient practices that basically stop working if the doctor becomes too old. We have pharmacies that are closing down. We have a an increasing lack of traffic infrastructure, like bus lines, train lines stop operating, and so it all results in older people more or less being stuck where they live. So what we need to do is we need to transform health and care services to reach our citizens. But third and most important, I think we need to involve the whole ecosystem to achieve impact at scale. The German healthcare system is quite different to the rest of Europe. It is a non-state-owned system. It is independent from immediate state influence. It is self-governing. So we need to involve the ecosystem players from the beginning in order to achieve impact at scale. Just briefly about Caros Consilium Saxony. We are a subsidiary company of the Dresden University Hospital, and we are founded to be a strong network of regional health and care providers, government and academia. So it's not only located in the city of Dresden, but we are supposed to work for and with the partners in the Eastern Saxon region. We are a project management partner. We provide different services. We facilitate and do knowledge transfer between all different kinds of partners. And we also initiate and manage a large number of e-health innovations. We have a strong track record in e-health projects. It deals with pilot solutions for specific chronic conditions like multiple sclerosis or post-stroke conditions, but we also provide different networks for post-academic education or family godparents, for instance. And we are very proud to be part in several large European projects like SHAPES, also Gatekeeper, and maybe some of you know HoCare. What is our main role in the SHAPES project? As you can see, and probably some of you know, SHAPES consists of 36 partners from basically all over Europe. In Germany, there's 4 partners total. Besides Caros Consilium, it's also the Fraunhofer Society, it's the health region of Cologne-Bonn, and the Medical Sin Company. And our role in SHAPES project is mainly to be one of these 7 pilots, but we also are in charge of ecosystem building and the co-creation think tank, which is basically what we try to do today. And finally, we deal with the advisory board management. Very briefly about our pilot design. Some of the pilots deal with specific medical conditions. They deal with patients. Our focus is more on older citizens as such. So what we try to do is we want to include the citizen, not the patient, but the citizen, older citizen in our pilot, and try to co-design, co-create smart home solutions in order to provide innovations for older citizens that enable them to stay at home longer, more active, instead of being forced to move to a nursing home or hospital, for instance. It focuses on rural settings, but not only. We experienced that it's also in an urban setting. There can be deteriorating communities. People begin to feel more alone. For instance, families move away, so older people are more or less alone, even if it's in a crowded building, in a 10, 15-story building, they still are alone if they don't know their neighbors. So it's more or less the same. We want to create communities. We want to enable older people to create their own community, and we want to provide them with the tools to do so. All SHAPES pilots select a number of use cases. So our use cases focus on very generic, very general questions. Our first question or our first topic is we want to try to help older citizens overcome their fear of digital solutions. Very generally, if you don't understand what a solution is doing, you can become afraid of it. It's an abstract problem. So What we want to try to do is help older citizens to overcome that fear by understanding what they're dealing with. So we want to, in a co-creation setting, we want to help them understand what their service is about. We want to help them select digital services that they feel useful for them. In the next step, we want to help them to use these digital solutions for specific challenges within their community. These challenges can be very, very different. Like, for instance, it can be simply to communicate with somebody else using a video communication tool. It can be collaboration to solve a community problem, like how can I find somebody to install a Wi-Fi router, for instance. How can I find somebody who can carry my heavy bags? How can I find somebody who can help me with grocery shopping? Things like that. We are convinced that we need to involve the older people in order to understand what are actually their challenges, what are the main challenges, not what we think is their challenge, but what they know is their challenge. And we want to help them overcome these challenges, providing specific digital solutions that are tailored for them. This is our pilot approach. In order to be successful with that, in order to create sustainable and useful impact, we want to co-design our pilot. In order to do so, we invite experts from all parts of the ecosystem. As you know, it's the quadruple helix approach. So we want to include experts from government and public health providers. This is a typical German issue. Health as such is not a government part, but it's, as I told you in the beginning, it is self-governed, it's independent from the government, so it basically belongs to the same helix, but it's a different expert. We also want to include experts from the academia. We have strong research groups dealing with geriatrics, with older people, with digital service design, and so on and so on. Furthermore, it's experts from the industry part. It's small and medium enterprises. It is digital service providers. It is sensor providers, IT service developers, and so on and so on. And finally, from the citizen and civil society area, we want to introduce or to use experts from like, for instance, older people's associations, from our seniors academy, for instance, in order to actively include the target group itself. We believe this is the only approach to sustainably create a working and impact generating pilot, and therefore this is what we want to begin and want to actively do today in our workshop. So what are we going to do in our workshop? As you probably have seen, the afternoon consists of a number of sessions. So in the CCS part, we will have 4 different sessions, which will include experts from all 4 helixes, but deal with different questions. In our first session, we want to deal with the actual needs of older people. So not only what we think is a challenge, but what they think is a challenge, or especially, and what the experts from the ecosystem think are these challenges. The next session, we want to evaluate potential digital solutions. This is, it sounds like an industry-only session, but that's not true. That's not true. So there will be industry involvement, industry aspect, but there will be open discussions between all 4 helixes. Third session will be about sustainable integration. It's nice to know what are the needs and the potential digital solutions, but it needs to be sustainable. Otherwise, it will just be a pilot and will probably end afterwards. So there needs to be more than that. We want to integrate into existing solutions. We want to integrate into existing services. And we also need to deal with the question of, for instance, interoperability, especially if we deal in digital solutions. Otherwise, it will be an insular solution and will not be accepted at scale. And the fourth session will deal with key challenges. It will be a summarizing session. We will try to derive an approach for our pilot. We will discuss and summarize the findings from our sessions before and try to create a bigger picture. I invite you to be part of our sessions. I'm very much looking forward to that. It will be a lively session. It will be very challenging, especially because it's going to be virtual. So let us all enjoy this experiment, I would say. This is going to be great fun, and I think it will, and I'm convinced it will be successful afterwards. And let me finally show you the contact details of myself and our key project manager, Philip. He will also be with me and with us and with you in the afternoon, and we will try to successfully virtually manage the sessions together. Thank you for attendance.
Hi, I want to welcome you to this plenary session and a workshop. My name is Sari Sarlio, and I'm the ethics manager of SHAPES project. SHAPES data protection manager Niina Alapurainen will also be with us in this plenary session and the workshop. Before going to the actual topic of ethics and SHAPES, I want to say a few words about the COVID-19 and the SHAPES ethics. So SHAPES ecosystem of digital services can already now bring value to the older people and other actors in case of pandemic, because it make it possible to have social distance both in the social and healthcare services and in human interaction. But COVID-19 also underlines the consideration of the following ethical issues. First, we all have to remember the duty of care towards individuals taking part in the development of the SHAPE solution, and also after the project as part of the SHAPE ecosystem governance. Secondly, I think there is an opportunity also to include such services in the SHAPE ecosystem that help older people to protect their health and authorities to act effectively in case of a pandemic. Now I'm talking about services like tracking or monitoring or modeling. But now to the actual topic of this day. So the ethical issues in the SHAPES project includes both SHAPES development work, so the process with the research integrity issues, and the defining and implementation of ethical requirements as features of the SHAPE solution. So the outcome of our project, so the solution to be created. Today we will have focus on those ethical requirements rather than on the research integrity. And from the viewpoint of the development work, the ethical requirements are like end user requirements. They may concern both SHAPES technology and services, user processes, training, governance model, business model of the whole ecosystem. In this picture, you can see different categories of ethical requirements, which are described more in detail in a separate deliverable. And now we are going to discuss more in detail a few of them, namely the fundamental rights, the capability approach, ethics of artificial intelligence, and the legal framework for privacy and data protection. First, we have the fundamental rights. The key question is that how SHAPE solutions and its use and development can promote the rights of the end users. And at the same time, how can we make it sure that SHAPE does not violate those rights? Rights of healthcare and right to life of the elderly are self-evident in the context of SHAPE. But there are also many other rights among them which are central to SHAPE. For example, the right for cultural diversity, human dignity, right for fair working conditions. So here are the list of the fundamental rights, which we will be studying more in detail in the workshop this afternoon. Then the second topic, the capabilities approach. Just a few words about the capability approach. So the capability approach emphasizes people's real opportunities to do and be what they have reason to value. So about freedom to choose how to live one's life. And according to Martha Nussbaum's approach of the capabilities, persons are both capable and needy and different with these values. However, the humans have common features, and based on those common features, Nussbaum have defined a list of central human capabilities. So we can say that capabilities approach complements the right-based approach and give more detailed information about human beings and their needs. Think, for example, the capabilities of affiliation, practical reason, sense, imagination, and thought. So the key question is that how can shapes promote these capabilities, and how to make it sure that shapes does not violate those capabilities. And even the questions that do we need some new services to cover the scope of the human capabilities in our shapes project. And here is the list of those actual human capabilities. So you can see that some of them are quite close to the human rights or EU fundamental rights, but there are many which are more like features of the human being and important issues. Altogether, 10 of them are defined. And now the ethics and artificial intelligence. Ethics of artificial intelligence has been discussed a lot lately. One EU expert group launched an ethics guideline for trustworthy artificial intelligence 1 year ago. And the key principles defined in that report are presented in this slide. And so you can see there are issues related to human agency, about technical robustness and safety, privacy, transparency, diversity, non-discrimination, social, environmental well-being, and accountability. And we can see that there are many different kind of ethical requirements related to these principles which are relevant in the shapes context. And here I have written down just few requirements in order to explain how those requirements are. So these requirements are related both to the technology and both to the organizational arrangement. So they have impact on many activities in the shape context and in the development of the shapes solution and shapes ecosystem of services. And now I will give the floor to Shapes Data Protection Manager Niina Alapurainen.
Hello everyone, my name is Niina Alapurainen and I'm a Data Protection Manager in Shapes. Sari discussed with you about the European Union fundamental rights, and she was asking that how we can promote those rights in Shapes. Privacy and data protection is one of the key rights when we are talking about the fundamental rights, and today I'm going to shortly discuss about the benefits that the proper data protection will bring to Shapes. But let's have a look on the different type of personal data that we are using when we are creating shape solutions and when we are providing the services to the users. As you can see, we are going to have a lot of data about the individuals. We are providing different type of services like facial recognition, and we are providing chat services. We are using AI to be able to provide services that really fulfills our users' needs. And we are using robotics and all this kind of new technology that will also process and contain personal data. So from that point of view, we need to think what kind of aspects we need to take into consideration when we are building this kind of ecosystem that needs to create trust among the users so that they feel comfortable for taking our services into use. So if you can imagine a situation that we are discussing with the potential customer or the users, and you can hear them saying that I can trust that my data is safe, and I understand how and for what purpose my data is used. They would also be happy to know and to see that they can control how their data is used and who can have access to it. They will also have services that are easy to use, and they don't, for example, need to give their consent for several times to different places. And then one important part is also these personalized services. So they can get services that will fill their needs, but at the same time, they can trust that their privacy is secured and we are not going to share these individual services to anyone else. So if we are able to build a system that will give this kind of descriptions from our end users, so we have created a service that really will bring value for the end users, and we will also get a solution that will protect the privacy at the same time while providing services that people are really needing. I think that our aim now is to create an ecosystem that will respond to all of these needs. And the next step that we are going to have is to plan together that how we will build up the services so that we respond to those needs. We will have a different type of topics that we need to discuss, and that will be on the agenda on our afternoon session when we will have the workshop where we'll discuss about the ethical topics in overall, but then we will also have this data protection as a key topic, and we will find out what would be the best way to work together so that we can achieve these targets and really bring value to Shapes by creating a good data protection. Thank you for having this session with me and looking forward to continue the discussion later on. Thanks and bye.
So thank you. Thank you for the last presentation, and thank you all for being here today, for joining the morning part. We are very happy that we get the chance to discuss and to present these topics that are very valuable and important within the Shapes project. Right now, I will tell you a few more words about the afternoon part. So after this introduction is done, the first workshop will run on the Zoom platform, and then all the others will follow. In order to create the setting as we were aiming to, which means smaller groups of people, so the interaction is enhanced, we divided you into 4 groups. So please stick to the division that you received in your emails. So follow the links and the workshops as you have in the email written. This all is going to happen on the Zoom platform. We shared with you on how to launch Zoom and so on. But if you have any problems, any difficulties, please contact us through hotline.workshop@oshi.upol.cz, and we will help you to set the Zoom. The workshops, the speakers there are going to be at that link, let's say, the whole time. So you will basically be joining them and then leaving their meeting, and the others will come. We are aiming to have the workshops for 1 hour. So please join a bit earlier, join like 3, 4, 5 minutes before, so we can start at the time, because we will start at the time in order to keep the flow of the program. If there are any difficulties throughout the afternoon part, we will tell you and contact you through your emails. So please also be in your mailboxes, because if there is anything wrong, let's say, with the Zoom platform, we have our backup plan, so we would send you links to another platform, and we will follow. So everything is prepared, and we will contact you via email, so just be ready on your emails, please. As you can see, right now there will be a first workshop. Later we will have a lunch break. After that, there will be one workshop after another, and in between we will also give you some breaks, so you can rest, you can grab your ideas and bring them to another workshop. The workshops topics are copying basically the topics that you heard in the morning, so it will be about think tank, it will be about the technologies, the user of the future, it will be about personas, and it will be about ethics. If there are any problems, any questions, anything that comes up to your mind, please contact us through the email. Right now, this is all from my end. After the workshops, there will be a closing. You also received links to that part. It should happen and start 5:30, so let's hope we are going to manage time-wise. This closing will take around half an hour to sum up what we discussed here today, and to tell you also what is going to be next in the Shapes project. So enjoy, have a great afternoon, and I will see you in the evening.